Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Today it's all about Sky Sports Fantasy Football with £50,000 up for grabs for the winner. My name is Joe and joining me ahead of Gameweek 15 and to look at those January fixtures is Luke. Luke, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I had I had an all right week in the end. Did okay yesterday at least. I got 44 points yesterday,
Wow.
So that was a little bit more than most people, and
Yes.
it bumped me up in quite a my mini league. So I was happy with that. But that was only really clawing back what Vardy did from the other day when he got his two assists and his goal, which I didn't have, which was a real killer. So overall, I think slightly up on points over, the people around my rank anyway. So pretty happy.
Yeah, I haven't had such a great. Well, I was okay. I'm on 119. I sort of set myself a benchmark. I want to get sort of 150 or 60 for this gigantic game week,
Yeah,
and I don't.
where we've still got a day game today, haven't we?
I've still got Fernandes captain to go, Grealish to go, so it's possible. But I would say it was an okay game week so far. 119. I'm at 1002 in the world, so
Nice.
I've dipped down about 100 or so. But I feel I'm sort of where I want to be. But I haven't really used any transfers, so yeah, hopefully you can help out on that regard. Especially because we have the January fixtures. So I think it's probably the best thing before we look at our teams. I'll have a look at those January fixtures. So I've gone to the Premier League site for this one because they haven't been updated fully on the Sky site yet. So I'll put them up. There's so many obviously that we're doing in stages. One thing I've done to look at this, I've looked at all the fixtures. So on the screen at the moment, we've got January the 1st, the 17th, and I've got two more slides to put up as we go along. But I've sort of looked at captains in mind, looked at who I would captain on particular days. And for me, I've listed out Salah. I would captain him potentially 9 times, Kane 8 times, Fernandes about 7 times, KDB 7 times, or a Man City player. Vardy, I would captain him about 5 times, I reckon. But people watching are thinking these figures don't add up. These are the sort of potential. So if 2 players are playing on the same day, they're my choices. And Calvert-Lewin or an Everton player I would captain, and Grealish a couple of times as well. But they would cover me, except for 2 days when Arsenal play. And Arsenal are a real problem at the moment. Gabriel is about the only good option, and he's got himself sent off. Aubameyang then scored, teasing me. Do I really want Aubameyang in my side? Arsenal Palace, Arsenal Newcastle. I don't want any of them, but they could all be lucrative. Wilson could score. Darlow could be amazing. Guita could be amazing. Steady on. What are your sort of initial thoughts, and are there any sort of 2 for 1s, 2 for 0, 3 for 1s, those kinds of strategies?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a number of them now. Again, I would recommend going to Planet Sky on Twitter, who produces a wonderful spreadsheet that really is helpful for this sort of thing. As ever, it's whether the swaps are ever worth it, which is the challenge for us Sky managers. So, I mean, just moving into January, first of all.
Okay.
From what you've said, I agree with the players you've mentioned there. The problem is a lot of those guys are forwards, as usual, and then obviously you can only have 3 of those. So, and if you've got De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes in your team, then you probably can't have the 3 most expensive ones either. So, it is a tricky balancing act. There'll probably be a few swaps that you need to use here or there. But like you say, sometimes there'll be great fixtures for a player. But if you've got another player on that day with an okay one or a decent one, sometimes you just have to take it on the chin. Like you mentioned there, you might captain Vardy or DCL like 5 times or whatever. But if Salah's on the same day, you just have to take it on the chin sometimes. But like you, the real issue is the Arsenal team for me. That whole week, in fact, is really troublesome for me because on the Tuesday, the 12th of January, it's Sheffield United at home to Newcastle and Wolves at home to Everton. Now, I don't have any players for that either. I don't have Calvert-Lewin. So I potentially have no captain on Tuesday the 12th. Then on Wednesday the 13th, I think everyone will have, De Bruyne or Kane. Yeah, Diaz. I mean, we get to see the lineups there, but, maybe there's a shot collar and Man City rest people at home to Brighton or something.
Grealish is still there as a backup. Say Kane gets injured, De Bruyne gets injured, Diaz gets injured. You still got Grealish.
Exactly. So I think I'm covered for that day, almost regardless of what happens. And then Thursday, I also don't have a captain as well. Now, you touched on it there. Like, do I really want to bring in Arsenal players? It's quite depressing to think of it, isn't it? I mean, Gabriel is still an okay pick. It's just his passing numbers have dipped a lot of late. He hasn't been hitting the tiers. And when they can't keep a clean sheet either, it's a worry. However, those 2 games on paper, I know that Palace have looked a lot better at scoring goals this season, particularly, and Newcastle on the 18th of January, also can surprise. They've been scoring goals despite not looking like they can. They somehow managed to get them still. They still seem to be pretty lucrative days that people will cover, right? So it's almost like you feel like you have to have someone for those days, because if Gabriel does just get a clean sheet or manages just tier 1 passing, you're looking at 20 points close to it for each individual day. That's suddenly 40 points if he does it in both of the games. And I imagine most of the top managers will cover these games off. Aubameyang is a teaser, but the fact that he's a forward, and you've just said how many other forwards we need for the other positions, I don't really like the thought of swapping.
I couldn't really see any time where I thought, I could get Aubameyang in for 2 games, and gain that advantage over another player. I just can't see it anywhere. It doesn't fall that kindly.
I mean, you could take Salah out the week before. So they play Southampton on the 4th of January. So you could take him out for that, obviously get the Arsenal captain day, and then miss him playing Manchester United, for example, which, it's not a great game, but I'd still want Salah at home, I think.
Yeah.
And then obviously have Gabriel on Monday the 18th of January, and then you could bring Salah back in on Thursday the 21st of January. Now, there's plenty of other teams that you can do that sort of thing with. You can do it with Bruno Fernandes, for example, who plays away to Liverpool, obviously. And there's a few people like that you could do it with. But for me, I still think Salah in that one game could do pretty well. So it's not, over Aubameyang at least. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more of a, like, for example, I've got James Ward-Prowse. So he's 8 million. He's the exact price. I would miss basically Southampton away to Leicester, which, he could do okay. But I feel like that might be worth the swap to get, 2 captain days on individual days, so just if it's cover. Even if he gets 6 points.
I've got that visually on the screen. Just go back again. So we go looking at that, because I'm now intrigued. So after Liverpool play Southampton on the 4th, look to move Salah out to Aubameyang, get Aubameyang captaincy Thursday the 14th, and then moving over, we also get to captain Aubameyang on Monday the 18th.
Yeah, miss Salah home to Man United, or Bruno Fernandes away to Liverpool, depending on which one you take out. Yeah,
and then back to Salah on the Wednesday for a nice away game at Fulham.
Yeah, I'm
going to do that. You sold me, because for me, I've got 31 transfers left. There's a lot of managers have got a few less than that.
Yeah,
I've been lucky with injuries. I also got a lot of the heavy hitters.
Yeah,
so I think
you are the perfect example, actually, because if you have got that amount, and a lot of people will be put off like me who have less, then you've almost got a free spin at something that could work. I mean, let's be fair. If Aubameyang scores a brace or even scores 1 goal in the other one, suddenly you've flown up 40, 50 points on most people. You can get ridiculous.
No one will have him.
Yeah, but it's the same for Bruno Fernandes, who plays away to Fulham on the Wednesday. So either him or Salah out for Aubameyang can work. I mean, there are other names as well. I'll talk you through another one I actually really like around this period. So for me, for example, on the 1st of January, so I don't know if they're on the screen.
Okay, I'll put the 1st of January up, yeah.
So Man United are at home to Aston Villa. Yeah. So you have Bruno Fernandes to that game. Now, if you take him out for either a Wolves or a Brighton player, but I actually like Wolves really a lot here. The thing is, they don't have too many options, Wolves, but Neto at the moment is looking very, very good. So you could do Neto. So Bruno Fernandes to Neto. That means you get away to Brighton. You then get home to Everton on the 12th of January, where you could captain him, because I don't have any captain on that day as well. So if you don't have Calvert-Lewin on that day, it covers that day. And then you get home to West Brom on Saturday the 16th of January, which is 3 games to Bruno Fernandes 0. He has absolutely 0. Now, if you add the captain in as well, that's 4 games, really, because you've doubled one of them, right? So you've essentially got a 4 for 0 for Bruno Fernandes, where you can then bring Bruno Fernandes back in for away to Liverpool if you want, or you could wait, but there'll be no reason to, for away to Fulham.
Okay, I'm sold again. These are really. I mean, I've got Patricio, so the need for me is less great there. Also, Everton's focus at the moment is much more on defence because a lot of their attacking creative threats is either injured or suspended or long-term injuries in the case of Luca Dean. But yeah, Wolves, Neto, Podence, they appeal.
Yeah, it could be
short
any
term.
Wolves player, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So they don't strike me as like amazing options. I mean, Jimenez could be back for then. I don't know if that's even possible, but let's just say maybe it could be. But it's more to do with the games. I mean, away to Brighton, home to Everton, and then home to West Brom.
Yeah.
And the fact that the person you take out plays 0, and you can add a captain, a 4 for 0 or 3 for 0. They don't happen very often. So you'd have to get incredibly lucky for that transfer not to work out in terms of you earning some points. I mean, even if Neto just got 2 points in all the games, you could argue that would be about 8-10 points.
I mean, we'll put our teams up shortly, and I am sort of. I feel I'm under-managing my side. I'm not making these transfers because I couldn't do that nice Fernandes, Vardy, and Salah manoeuvre. Because I already had them all. And so I just thought I'll just keep them all and get all of their points. So I didn't have to do that. And so for me, barring any injuries, I might even do both of those, you know. Because, I mean, I'm not happy about captaining Patricio. But, you know, it's doable. It's doable. But I just think I might get a bit more out of Neto and Podence. It's more fun as well.
Well, and even the other option, if you don't want to go Neto, because they are quite potentially low-scoring games, aren't they? You could even go for a Wolves defender. So if you went for Bolly, for example, you've then got I mean, they don't get passing that often, Wolves, but in some games they flirted with it. So you could get passing bonus and clean sheets in 3 of those. I mean, it's against Brighton, home to Everton, and home to West Brom. You would have thought in that run, there's probably 1 clean sheet out of those 3, right? Maybe 2 if you're lucky. So I think there's a few options there. I do like that. Like I say, you can do it for a Brighton player as well, but their fixtures aren't quite as good by any means.
I've got Ben. That's another thing. I've got Ben White as well. So I'm sort of covered there. And I, to be honest, I don't really want to be covered with Ben White, but he'll do. He'll do at the moment. Moving through all the. So yeah, they're good. They're both of those. I think are really good options, especially for me. But for other people as well. A lot of people there are not going to have any Wolves assets at all. They're going to have, say, Martinez in goal or Meslier. It'll be popular, and that does appeal definitely.
Okay, and there's one even this week which I quite like. Okay. Well, I say I quite like. I'm probably not going to do it, but it's an option for some people. So obviously we're talking this week, so Saturday the 19th of December. Yeah. It's involving Harry Kane or Spurs players and then a Chelsea player, really. So on Sunday the 20th, Spurs are at home to Leicester. Yes. So I'm assuming most of us have Kane or Son or someone like that. You could then remove him for Monday the 21st, where the only games are Burnley home to Wolves and Chelsea home to West Ham. Now, a lot of us have a Chelsea defender in either Zuma or Chilwell or something. So at the moment, I've got that penciled in. Now, Chelsea of late Zuma's not quite been hitting the tier bonus for passing recently, and also clean sheets have dried up somewhat. Now, I'm probably going to stick and sit on Zuma. I think that's still an option, but you could obviously take out Kane here for Werner or a Chelsea attacking asset. It could be a midfielder, obviously, and get arguably a better captain on that day. Then you miss out on, if you go to the next week, which is the 26th,
if I've got that one up there, I think I managed to get pictures of virtually every fixture apart from that one. No, I've only gone to the first, so I'm missing that one. So we'll just wing it. Okay, on that one.
So that's on New Year's Day. So Chelsea play first, and they play away to Arsenal. Now, again, Arsenal not looking particularly good at the moment. You feel like, it's not the best fixture in the world, but you'd have Werner there as well for that game. And this is where you can either be a 2 for 0 or a 3 to 1. So you could then arguably bring back Kane for away to Wolves on Sunday the 27th and just be done for your 2 for 0 and a captain. So kind of okay. Or you could ignore that Spurs game and keep Werner, and then that leaves you with Monday the 28th of December, where Palace are at home to Leicester, Chelsea are at home to Villa, and Everton are at home to Man City. So suddenly you've got Werner at home to Aston Villa as a captain there as well. Which you could use, which arguably some people might be going Zuma there.
So could by the same token, we could also, if we don't think Werner is up to it, go for Giroud.
Yeah, or any Chelsea asset. This is it. Whoever you want. And it's a 3 for 0 over Spurs players, basically. Chelsea have a 3 for 0, and it involves 2 days where you could arguably captain a Chelsea player. So I
Right.
do kind of like it, because then you can bring Spurs Kane back on the 30th of December home to Fulham. For me, it's one of those tactical swaps where, it could punish you because the Chelsea options might not be that good, as we've seen in Werner,
Yeah.
and Kane is Kane, and he could do really well in that one away fixture against Wolves. But it's one
Yeah.
of those ones that you have to weigh up and see. I'm probably happy to captain Zuma, but
Yeah.
some people might not be.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I'm going to stick with Zuma. But it is a teaser, and if you haven't got any Chelsea coverage at all, any Chelsea, I mean, then that is a very good option there. As you said, these sort of 3 for 0s, these are sort of, your worst case scenario is you're going to be 6 points better off, or so, or whatever. Hopefully, but
Yeah, and sometimes you hit the lottery. If they return in all 3 games, you're suddenly 40, 50 points up on a transfer, and especially when you're doing players of the ilk of someone like Werner. I know he's not quite showing it, but we all know that he could score a hat-trick in a game. He's obviously been at the business end and should be arguably scoring braces and goals nearly every week when you watch him. But these kind of players, when you're involved in them, it is kind of teasing to do so, because, like you say, the Aubameyangs and the Werners of the world, it's not like they're bad players. It's just not been going well for them, and at any moment they can flick a switch and suddenly start scoring a lot of goals, and they become a really good differential. So they're teasers to think about, I think.
I'm going to put the very last slide we got on for these January fixtures. Just the last one. It's quite kind, really, here. So I mean, you've highlighted some really good strategies for those first couple of weeks in January. But looking at this, we've got Brighton, Spurs, Leicester, Leeds, West Ham, Liverpool on the Sunday. And then on the Tuesday, a whole bunch of teams there. Manchester United at home to Southampton stands out. City away to Burnley. Lots and lots of options that day. But then, well, and also looking at that, Leicester away to Fulham. That looks pretty good. So Jamie Vardy, once again, that's why I've got a tick on him in my team. And then on the Wednesday, you've got Spurs against Chelsea, but then Liverpool against Brighton. So that's just Salah. It's just Salah day. And so I think the fixtures have fallen kindly. There is those strategies that you've pointed out, but also you get little segments like this in the fixtures where it's just sort of, as long as you've got Kane, Salah, say Fernandes, you're really covered, I think, for those.
Yeah, it's fallen quite kindly, hasn't it? It's really just those Chelsea 2 games that are the puzzler. Where ignoring is possibly a valid strategy. Gabriel's likely to be most of the top player strategy, but Aubameyang is that teaser for the guys who have got the swaps and can be a bit different. Yeah, I think that's the way to go at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and be a bit different. I tried a bit this week, hasn't kind of worked out, but I did things like captaining Grealish instead of Salah, captaining Vardy instead of Salah. So, I've lost some points, not huge points, but I've lost some points doing that. But I do think the Salah out for Aubameyang, in my situation, why not? Give it a go. I can't really lose out because all I'm missing is a Manchester United game with Salah. Let's move on to our teams. So I'll get your team up on the screen. You said obviously you're on a good roll at the moment. How many transfers you got left?
I've got 26 transfers left, so I've used way more than I would like.
Yes.
But going on that whole 1 transfer per week strategy that I like to keep to. I'm actually, where are we? Game week 14 or something like that? I think we are.
Game week. Do you know what? We're looking ahead to game week 15, but we're currently still on game week 14. It's just going on forever.
Okay. So if I've used 14 to 15, I'm okay, and I've got 26 left. So I'm still on course for what I planned for myself. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I got 140 points this week, which I thought was pretty good. And to be honest, most of the points came from just my players being good individual options rather than just captains, because a lot of the captains have let us down over the last couple of weeks, to be honest. I mean, I've done simple things like I picked Bruno over Kevin De Bruyne recently, and he got 2 bonus points where De Bruyne didn't get any. So I got an 8-point captain to everyone else's 4. I picked Salah for last night, where a lot of people went different on Vardy, and he returned. And minor returns, but 10 points isn't that minor, but it's 10 to 20. Over suddenly Vardy, did he get 2? I think so. Went to 4 points.
Yeah.
So it all adds up.
Lamptey got you a clean sheet last night. This picture incidentally was taken just before last night's matches.
Yeah, so Martinez in goal, who had a worldie
Yeah.
this week. Zuma, Lamptey, and Diaz. That was a bit of a tragedy with Zuma and Diaz this week in Sky. Diaz scoring an own goal,
Yeah.
Zuma conceding, and not getting passing bonus. So that's unlike them. But I think it's quite reassuring that those are my kind of stalwarts at the back for most people as well.
Yeah.
They didn't do too well. My team still did okay.
Mm.
Captains also failed, and it still did okay. So I think that's a pretty good sign. So Ward-Prowse got me points
Yeah.
as captain. De Bruyne, Grealish in there as well. Obviously, he's playing tonight. And so is Bruno Fernandes. And then Kane and Salah, who've just been immovable objects for me, just keep totting up the points.
Yeah.
And my main differential, really, I suppose, was Bamford, who I captained. In the end, he got 10 points, so shots on target and got a goal. You know, I can't argue with that. That's good. A lot of people wouldn't have had him, but when they've scored so many goals, I'd like to have hoped that he got 2 or 3 goals in that game.
Well, I've got Dallas in my Sky team. In my FPL team, I've got Ayling, and Ayling was pretty much the only one not to get any points. Every defender in Leeds just was scoring last night. I'll put my team up. So I have in mind those strategies. Oh, just before we go on to my team, just for the benefit of those listening on the podcast, Luke's team's got Martinez, Zuma, Lamptey, Diaz in a 3-4-3 of Ward, De Bruyne, Grealish, Fernandes, Kane, Salah, and Bamford. On to my team. I have a 4-3-3, still with my budget defence. Patricio, Zuma, Vestergaard, Dallas, who got me a goal last night. White, De Bruyne, Grealish, Fernandes, Kane, Vardy, and Salah. So I'm on 119. Obviously, the big difference between our two teams is I chose different captains. That was my
I had Bamford captain, and I had a few better captains. That was pretty much it. But also, I just want to point out on your team there, Vestergaard. How good is he? I need to get him in. I think
I got him. I got him in. Remember, we talked about me getting Cancelo in, and I got him in, and then he rewarded me, and then I got rid of him for Vestergaard in order to fund. I can't remember who it was now. Salah back in. That was it. So what a great move that ended up being. And Dallas is still trucking along. So I look at that team, and I'm not keen to really move much of it. I mean, I'd like to upgrade White, for example, but other than that, I'm okay.
The moment you do that sort of thing, you lose some flexibility. That's the problem, because then you can't spend those transfers.
So that's why I like your ideas. Yeah, that's why I really like your ideas you've given me for using those transfers. So I've got 31 left, which is actually more than I was hoping, which sounds a bit weird. It's nice to have transfers, but I would like to sort of be around the 28. I'd like to have used 3 strategically and got a higher ranking, but I haven't done that. I've got 0.8 in the bank, so not much to play with. Vardy's ticking along, but could go. But as I've said, there's 5 potential days I could captain him if there's injuries to others. And I've just got to think really with January in mind. White is someone I'm not overly happy with, but I don't know. I mean, White got a clean sheet last night, so
yeah. I mean, I honestly think that the perfect team right now, if you were to create such a thing. I mean, first of all, I think Vestergaard would definitely be in it, regardless of his fixtures. I think he's just a season hold. Not only is he getting passing bonus, they keep clean sheets. Southampton look fantastic, and he looks like he's going to score in every single game. I really like him. I honestly think the perfect back 3 would be Zuma, Diaz, and Vestergaard. I think if you can get that back 3, you're absolutely laughing. Obviously, you can add people to that, like James and Chilwell, and there's loads of names that could fit alongside them. But I think those 3 defenders are the 3 go-to at the moment. And I think Romeo as well. I think there's lots of Southampton players that you can have. I mean, Romeo is only 6.9 million in midfielder. So you were saying about getting rid of White. If you can find that money and stick him into midfield, I think that could work, because he just picks up tackling all the time.
Romeo, he's I haven't got him his stats to hand, but he's 6 point something.
6.9, I think he is, and he's in fact, let me find him for you now. So I think he's leading the Premier League in tackles at the moment as well. He gets man of the matches.
Oh, you tease! I can afford it. I could just do that now.
So, I mean, if we look at his last few points, he's just so steady at 6.9 million. 4 points against Arsenal, 8 versus Sheffield United, 6 versus Brighton, 4 versus Man United. He got 2 versus Wolves, 6 versus Newcastle, 4 versus Villa, 7 versus Everton. It's just constant trickle of
That
points.
solves my... Because the beauty of moving Salah out to, any, say, Aubameyang, or is as long as you don't then spend that extra money, you make sure you can get Salah back, then it's fine. But the beauty of that at the moment is I can just do that White to Romeo. There's no easy hop on or hop off that I've seen. It's just doing it just simply to get a better player. They both played last night, so yeah, okay, I'm sold. I'm sold there. Let's have a look at Gameweek 15 again. We put it up on the screen a bit earlier, but we'll just have a look at our captains that we're thinking about. So on the Saturday 19th, we've got Palace against Liverpool, Southampton City, Everton, Arsenal, Newcastle, Fulham. Well, I've ignored captaining Salah a couple of times, so I'm just going to captain him against Palace. But of course, De Bruyne at Southampton is an issue. We have a question about De Bruyne coming up shortly. Yeah, who are you thinking of captaining that day?
Yeah, it's Salah. Yeah. I mean, just simple, isn't it? I think I'd love to say De Bruyne, but when they're playing Southampton, it was so good right now, and Man City aren't particularly good. I mean, that could be a match where Southampton win for all I know. So I'm just not confident in picking De Bruyne in that game, despite him being obviously fantastic. No. You can turn it on. Salah's just such an easy solution. Plus, we get to see the lineups.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, if you have someone like Callum Wilson home to Fulham, something like that, you could be tempted, but I don't see any reason to move away from
Salah. No, Fulham are looking better. They're looking. Yeah. They're not looking like a team that can easily get beaten. They may get beaten, but not easily. On the
Calvert-Lewin home to Arsenal as well. No doubt, yeah. He gets points every week. So I mean, you could stick it on him there as well. He's still an option.
Sunday we've got Brighton, Sheffield United. Tottenham against Leicester, Manchester United against Leeds, West Brom against Villa. Options here. For me, I'm looking at Kane. Fernandes is an option. One of those two.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tough day because a lot of us are going to have Kane and Bruno Fernandes, and which person you go for, I don't think is particularly clear cut. I really think this could be a big swing on this day because Kane has got a history of scoring against Leicester a lot. But Leicester, we know, they're so Jekyll and Hyde. They could be terrible in that game, or they could be absolutely fantastic and resolutely defend.
They've been better away this season. It suits their counter-attacking play.
Exactly.
They can utilise Vardy. How often do we see that? Through ball through, Vardy runs, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. And Spurs at home to Leicester, recently every game I've watched of Spurs has basically been them defending and trying to counter, which I'm not sure that will work in that game. So I don't know how they'll approach that. It's a tough one. But it's Kane. He gets points every week. He's on penalties, etc. So great option. Then you've got Bruno Fernandes in the Leeds game, where normally he's really good for the away games, right? But then you think to yourself, Leeds make every game a basketball match where it's back and forward, literally everyone rushing up the pitch. And again, I don't really know what to expect there. Are we going to see a game where Man United are going to try and constantly counter on Leeds? And if that's the case, then that would suit Bruno Fernandes, right? So I am tempted by Bruno Fernandes, but part of me thinks that, Leeds are the kind of team that so much energy, and Man United struggle with that area in midfield. That maybe it's just because I'm a pessimistic fan. I feel like Leeds could turn us over. So it's a tricky one.
And of course, there's rivalry there. There's rivalry. It's such a shame that this is a fixture with no fans for obvious and good reasons. But this is the kind of match you want to see fans at. On the Monday, we got a horrible day.
And that's actually Sunday as well. I've just noticed Grealish is away to West Brom. Not the worst backup either.
There we go. Although Allardyce has just signed as manager there, so. Welcome aboard the bus. On Monday, Burnley against Wolves, Chelsea against West Ham. I've got Zuma, so I'm going to captain him. There's gains to be made elsewhere if you don't have a Chelsea defender. Possibly Pope, possibly Patricio even.
Oh God, Pope will get 10 points in that game.
Possibly West Ham. They're teasers if you've got them.
Zuma for me, if you're doing that Kane swap I talked about and getting a Chelsea attacker, it could work out, but I'll stick with Zuma, I think.
Okay, we've got some community questions here. So first one from our good mate Dan Cox. Does The Godfather, I presume he means you,
we thought about that.
Think we should risk going without KDB? So we have looked at those fixtures. It's something I'm personally considering in FPL, and sometimes I think, well, if I'm considering it in one format, perhaps why not another? Because I am thinking in terms of captain ability and form. But yeah, that's what he's asking. Could we risk going without KDB for a little while?
Well, I mean, his points tell us yes, because he's just... The thing with De Bruyne is that we've always liked is that he usually picks up passing bonus because he's been a little bit deeper for Man City. But for this season, they're playing Rodrigo and Gundogan most of the time, or at least 2 DMs. And they're pushing Kevin De Bruyne much further forward. So his passing bonus is suffering in nearly all the games. I think he's maybe only picked it up once or twice the whole season, which is annoying. And then obviously Man City just can't seem to score goals at the moment. So I can see the appeal. At the end of the day, if you hadn't had De Bruyne for the last few weeks, apart from that one individual day where he got 2 assists and man of the match or whatever it was, and game week 1, you're probably up on the deal and saved a lot of money. Or you know, if you had Vardy over De Bruyne, for example, over this week, you've done far better. So I want to say yes, going on what's happening, but I still just, those fixtures are so good, and I've got so much faith in De Bruyne as a player that I just feel eventually it's going to turn around. But maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe it just won't turn around.
I think if you have, I don't have any Man City. I don't have Diaz, but I think Dan has presented quite an interesting question for those with Diaz and KDB.
Yeah, it's the Van Dijk over Salah from the season's gone, isn't it?
I went Van Dijk over Salah many times last season. Did huge parts of the season didn't own Salah at all, and it did not harm me one bit. Van Dijk was always the better option. So yeah, good question, Dan.
I think it was summed up this week very well, actually. Diaz scored an own goal and still only scored 1 point less than Kevin De Bruyne, and he was actually on for beating him, but De Bruyne ended up getting shot tier on target. I was
watching. I mean, KDB, some would argue was unlucky, and I guess he was. There was a good goalkeeper display, but one thing I noticed about his positioning, he's playing in that sort of a number 10. He's sort of just outside the box, just inside, hovering around. But I saw him when the ball was coming over to maybe Jesus or Sterling. They were the ones coming into the box, running into that ball. And KDB was sort of hovering around, which is great for sort of picking up a loose ball, getting a speculative shot or cross away, and we know he can do that. So, you know, there were potential for points there, for goals and assists, but at the same time, he wasn't quite where I want a player that I'm relying on for the captaincy.
No.
In fact, I mean, although Jesus and Sterling, I wouldn't advocate getting them, they were in much better positions for scoring, which is what goals
I think
is all about.
The hope is Aguero's due back soon. You'd like to think that therefore Man City might start scoring some more goals. Suddenly De Bruyne might get his pizzazz back and look half decent. You know, they haven't been getting that many penalties of late, which anyone can get. And suddenly things could all change around. So the fixtures are still there. He's still massively owned, and I'm too scared to go without. But I don't doubt that it could work.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fixtures here. I'm just trading through now. Man City are playing Newcastle at some point coming up soon, and I always think with that, I always think back on those glory days of Aguero just scoring goal after goal in those fixtures. I'm at the moment not for me, but if I had Diaz, I would definitely have an issue there. Removing KDB if I needed to. Looking down the questions, Dan McKenna, he says, with a plethora of attacking talent to rotate around the coming fixtures, is spending 10.3 on Robertson a waste if you're not going to captain him at all? For me personally, I don't have Robertson. I haven't had him for weeks, and I don't intend to get Robertson. So I guess that's my answer to the question is not worth it at the moment.
Yeah, massive fan of Robertson. Got an assist again last night. You look at his points from the last. I mean, even though Liverpool have been perceived to not being good and him not be good, 8, 5, 7, 4, 10. That's his last few scores. That's perfectly fine. The problem is he's 10.2 million, and there are players in the game that are 7.8 million, like Zuma and James and people around that price who are doing as well, if not better. So great option, but when you've got so many cheap players performing so well. I mean, Vestergaard, Ward-Prowse, Che Adams. There's just so many names in all positions that are cheap and doing well. I agree with him. I don't think... I don't doubt he will get points. I don't doubt he'll be a great option. But I think in terms of value, he's not value at the moment.
No, spend that money elsewhere. I mean, both of our teams, we've got Salah, Kane, others. We've got Fernandes, De Bruyne. These... well, maybe not De Bruyne as we discussed, but other players, they are providing much better value. Jamie Vardy, for example, I've really enjoyed owning Jamie Vardy recently. I just get the feeling he's going to score towards the end, especially of matches. So, more questions. Benny Blanco, with lots of possible gains available, how do you strike a balance in attacking the fixtures and protecting your transfers? I guess that's how do you play Sky? That question is basically.
Well, you should be telling us because he's 120th, I think, in the world or something. Just carry on doing what you're doing, Benny. I think we had this before, didn't we? I mean, me and Joe are a good example here. Joe's probably got a little bit more left than he wanted. I've got used probably a little bit more. So somewhere between our transfers is probably ideal.
28. If you're sitting there and you've got 28 transfers left, I think you're absolute, and you're in the top 1,000, you're ideally placed. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it is always a balance, and ultimately no one can really answer that because we don't know what's in the future. We don't know how many players are going to get injured, if any games are going to get called off for any reason, be it snow, COVID, you name it, whatever. But how the league's going to go, right? Liverpool, I mean, at the moment, you could argue that Liverpool might go clear at the top of the league on current form. They keep winning games. You could get to the last 10 games of the season and Liverpool have already won it again, and suddenly there's a whole new situation, or 3 teams are already down. So you know how these things work. I think just holding out for that sort of 15 to 20 transfers for overhaul is the way to play it right now, and don't focus on anything else apart from working up to that overhaul period. If you've got more than that, I don't see it as a problem because they've been so kind to us with the individual days as we've been through there. Apart from Arsenal, nearly all the players that are good players have good captain days. So it's not the trouble we've had in the past. We used to have so many Mondays of Burnley versus Palace or whatever that you had to cover, and there's just not many of them anymore. So I think it's a little bit easier in that regard.
And final question, we got something from Mikey U. Arsenal seem to be on some single match days. Are there any Arsenal assets to target from them? Anyone else apart from Gabriel, I should say. So we've already mentioned Aubameyang is someone like in my position. If I had much less transfers, I'm not sure I would take that risk. Yeah, Gabriel, but his passing is down. I don't know. I mean, I apart from those two, I can't think of anyone at Arsenal, and I don't think there are any. I just leave it. Just leave it, mate.
Yeah. The only one who I would even slightly consider would be Saka, just because he's a good player. Yeah. He's 7 million. But, I mean, I'll read you out his last I could go on the whole way. Yeah. His last 7 or 8 scores: 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0, 2. So it's just
we get a gist of what he's all about. I mean, I think if you want coverage and you have, say, a Newcastle or a Palace, I would possibly, if you need an enabler, look to those teams, possibly. But if you can see my face now, I'm just not really that keen.
I mean, Partey, who is injured at the moment, I don't know when he's due back. He has all the makings of one of those DMs who can get you passing and tackling in every single game. But then you've got Romeo, who's 6.9 million. I understand that you'd want him for a captain day, but I don't know if you really want these kind of players for those captain days, because they 4 or 5 points and you captain it to 10 twice. I mean, is it even worth it for 2 swaps? Not for me. So yeah, it's just Gabriel, Aubameyang, or no one are all viable, I think.
Excellent. Well, Luke, thanks so much for joining me. We've really gone through a lot of fixtures there. We'll be back again soon for to look ahead to the next game weeks and have some firmer plans in place, hopefully by then. Just to mention the members areas, we've had a look at some of the stats to have a look to get our thoughts together for this episode. And also, if you've liked it, do press like. And subscribe to make sure you can keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. But in the meantime, Luke, thanks so much for joining me, and goodbye.
Thanks a lot, Joe. See you on the next one.